Are you a bottleneck in your business? Well, if you don't know, you could be. And if you don't
know.
and if you don't know, you could ask your team. I think as leaders or owners or managers, there'll always be stuff that gets bottlenecked, and there could be some reasons why or why not, which is, totally fine. But today, Kayla, you have got some points to encourage us with, to self-reflect about are we or are you or how to stop being a bottleneck in your business.
This might end up being a bit of a therapy session between you and I.
Yeah, far out. But look, my name is Glen James. You're joined by Kayla Malss. She is a marketing guru, consultant, runs an agency, does a heap of stuff. We'll put her link in the show notes if you want to reach out and check out what Kayla does. If you're new to the podcast, thanks for having a listen. We just want to add practical value from the trenches of small business. Until then, let's do a podcast, and we'll do that right now. All right, Kayla, talk to me.
So let's get into knowing when you're the bottleneck in the business.
Okay.
So I have been a bottleneck in my own business before. I know people who are bottlenecks in their business, and I've had this discussion many times. So are you constantly getting follow-ups in your emails and notifications? Glen James, are you getting follow-ups all the time? Are you the bottleneck in your business?
Well, what I've done, I don't know if they'll say it, but just at this, when we start, I put in our Slack chat, I said, can anyone think off the top of their head, am I a bottleneck in the business? If yes, what am I bottlenecking? So maybe in the next 15 minutes, they might respond. They might not sure. So I don't know. I think there are going to be things that you in your role will actually have to be the bottleneck.
Yes.
And that could be a strategic decision.
Yep.
It's like, I've got to get... So right at the moment, as an example, not that it impacts my team, but it could be an impact to the broader business. You might remember earlier in the year, we did an episode with Gina, who was doing a fulfillment business. And I'm like, I want to use you for product and fulfilling web orders and whatnot. So that's a bottleneck. It's on me at the moment. And no one in my team can really help. Well, they probably could. But
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. However, I'm just very careful about, I don't know, if Sean, for example, is editing a podcast, I'm not going to be like, oh, Sean, can you order these books? Like, it's just not in his
not a core business.
Core part of his role.
Yep.
And it was something that I wanted to talk to the publisher, order books on wholesale. I wanted to get T-shirts. So I had to organize some stuff. So by nature, it's a bottleneck because I'm doing it and I know it's stopped. But I guess the business case for am I a bottleneck might come down to, are you stopping a core business thing or an everyday process?
Yeah, I agree. It sounds like that merch situation is just the beginning of a new project rather than an actual bottleneck. If you were stopping episodes from going up or YouTube videos from going up, that's core part of the business.
That's right.
So then that would 100% be a bottleneck.
So by definition, as an example, there will be things that you do bottleneck, but I know that it's not mission critical.
Yeah.
And I've had follow-ups from Gina. She actually texted, I was telling Kayla about it in the car this morning. She texted me before, I was like, hey, when can we do this? I'm like, far out. It's just like...
Yeah, you're being a bottleneck for Gina.
That's right.
Not the business.
And I don't mind being a bottleneck for external companies on the proviso that I'm not literally wasting their time and all that stuff. But so I don't know. I think there probably is. What about you?
Yeah, I think in my business, there is a level, it's probably not a bottleneck. I'm probably the filter.
Right.
Of if I speak to a client, I have a meeting with a client and there's action items, I need to filter all the jargon that was happened in that meeting and delegate tasks to my team. So that's more of a filter than a bottleneck, but it can turn into a bottleneck if I don't get my processes sorted and I'm sitting on all of these notes from a meeting for 2 weeks and my team don't have the tasks yet.
And it's probably a bit of a dance with, if it's a task that you've got to do over and over again, it needs to be automated. And systemated.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. And I think there's also in your team and as a business owner and a leader, there is an element of trust. So, for example, we've just really overhauled a heap of stuff in the business. Like, you've been on this journey. We tried all this Instagram stuff with you and Luke last year, and it just like it wasn't working as part of the business strategy. So I'm like, nah, we try something, didn't work, try something else. We've been playing around with YouTube, for example, and doing some shorts, linking them to clips, then clips go to the full episodes and all that. And Jess is like, oh, let me have a bit of a play, because she's in the session file after it gets edited, and she'll highlight some clips, and then Josh will edit it out. Or she will do it with Opus or something like that. Have you heard of Opus?
Yeah, the AI.
Yeah, it's okay, I guess. Anyway, so at the start of the process, I said, oh, look, do a few, let me have a look. Because, it's a reel of me. I want to make sure that it lands or whatever.
Yep.
And I'm just curious, it's a new process. So me, I was like, yep. I think the first couple of weeks, she said, oh, I've done these 5, check them. Yep. Now, there's a decision that needs to be made. Me as the leader, the manager, or whatever, insert your role here, at what point do you let go and trust, or control and micro and clog?
Yeah.
And it's at the point now, it's like, yep, I want to see the first handful just to get a vibe.
Yeah.
Go for it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I know it's public anyway. And I don't know, because that could turn into a bottleneck.
Oh, for sure. That could definitely turn into a bottleneck if there's all these videos in your inbox waiting there to get approved and nothing is going up. And there are ways, I guess, to mitigate the bottleneck, or at least reduce the time that it takes to get these tasks done. If I don't respond by this date or whatever, or if you're still waiting on me, just post it. Because the Reels, for example, or YouTube Shorts, it's like a pretty low risk activity. If something, you can just delete it. Versus maybe there's a paid partnership. That is a bigger business activity with more risk. So that is worth waiting for your approval for.
What other ways can you know, or people could know that they are a bottleneck, other than people constantly following them up?
I think if you feel like that you're working all day, you're chained to your desk or wherever your work is, but you're not actually achieving anything.
The rat in the wheel.
Yeah. And that might speak to a broader business strategy / operations issue, but even then, actually, you're probably the bottleneck there too. Yeah.
I think it's self-awareness, isn't it? Because there is a dance. Like, I've dealt with businesses, and I think for me, yes, I'm probably a recovering control freak a little bit. And there's a couple of reasons for it. One, it's probably in my nature. But 2, when I was a licensed financial advisor, you would have power planners help with the statement of advice, like the financial advisor document. And then my name goes on the front of that.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. If it's your business, you're the face.
So at the end of the day, the liability, the buck, everything stopped with me. So as much as I had a team involved, if I'm signing something, I need to actually read it and make sure I'm happy with it. Now, you could be like, oh, I just don't want a bottleneck. Well, it's like, well, this is a high-risk thing for you to take your hands off the wheel.
Yeah.
You need to have a system, because you could get hung out to dry from a genuine mistake that someone else made that you didn't pick up on.
Yeah. And there is a balance between trusting your team and not, I guess, taking the responsibility for your business as well. Like, it is, you do have to toe the line of both.
Yeah. What else?
If you can't meet deadlines, or if you're struggling to keep up with the amount of work that's coming through, then systems, processes need to be put in place. So then you're not bottlenecking those.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say, it's a real big issue if you are the bottleneck that stops revenue coming the door. And how do you alleviate that? And we'll probably get into that. But that's the whole thing. It's like the amount of businesses that I've dealt with that they'll take forever to invoice. So even one of the businesses that I used here for the fit out, they came in and did their job. I knew it was around $5,000. I hadn't heard from them for months.
Yep.
And I'm thinking to myself, why haven't they sent me an invoice? And I'm like, you know what? Stuff that. It's not my responsibility to chase up a company to invoice.
Yep.
Anyway, a couple of months later, the owner of the business who I knew texted me and said, hey, just wanted to know the bill's outstanding. What's the go? And I'm like, what do you mean? I haven't received it. And they'd sent it to an old email that just didn't exist anymore.
Yep.
Now, that caused a bottleneck in their small business for them not to get $5,000.
Yeah, that's huge.
Within, this was 3 or 4 months later.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I'm like, oh, no, I didn't get it. He goes, right. So he's like, bigger business issue there in his office, his office team. Why aren't they picking up the phone and calling somebody after a month and be like,
100%.
hey, we're not doing anything. We're just saying, did you receive it?
Yeah.
And I would have went, no, this is why.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
But he also said to me, he goes, oh, I was actually, like, I know you're good for it. And I was leaving it just to see what his team would do. And I don't love that kind of thing. I guess one could say, well, we'll just let the team fail and learn from it.
But in a sense, if I was him, I would be kind of grateful because I would rather that bottleneck or that hole in the business be picked up by someone who I know and trust than a
That's right, than a stranger. Yeah, so, and that's it. Like, because business owners will listen to this podcast, are systems causing the bottleneck for cash flow?
Yeah, definitely.
Not a person in the mirror, not a manager, but literally it's like, no, if overdue by 30 days, pick up phone, send text message, call.
Yeah.
We're not doing hardcore collections. We're just saying, hey, just wanted to know if you actually received it.
And 9 times out of 10, that is the case. Like you can, money is a very like vulnerable topic or whatever, and it's very emotionally charged. So you can feel like, oh, these people just aren't paying me. I have been in that position, and 9 times out of 10, they just missed the email or it got sent to junk or whatever, which again is like why your invoice is getting sent to junk. That's a process that needs to be fixed.
Yeah. So look, I just think it's good. And then what's your kind of last point about knowing when there could be a bottleneck?
I already said that.
Oh, the deadlines?
Yeah.
And can't keep up. Oh, you must have that first, did you?
No, I said that just then.
I'm sorry. You know why I was sorry? Well, you know why I wasn't paying attention? Because my team replied.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And we'll share that.
Let's hear it.
Right after the break.
If you're after personal financial advice, don't get it from a podcast. But if you want guidance tailored to your situation, head to moneypodcast.com.au and click Get Help. We'll connect you with one of our trusted professionals, financial advisors and mortgage brokers, who work with people right across Australia. No matter where you are, they can help. Now, before we get back to the show, a quick reminder to protect your financial life. That means having income protection sorted. It means having death cover if there's any debt or dependents relying on you. It means getting your personal insurance in order. Most people insure their car, they insure their house, but what about themselves? Sky Wealth, who support this podcast, are specialist financial advisors who can help you get the right cover in place. Their advice is often more comprehensive and better value than going direct through your super. Book a complimentary 15-minute chat at sky.com.au. That's skye.com.au, and they'll point you in the right direction.
Okay. I was just caught out, not paying attention.
Being the bottleneck of this podcast
Being the bottleneck of this podcast. Before we get to what my team said, what are some ways that we can stop being a bottleneck?
So other than the systems and all of that, I think the first step for me was accepting that you're not the best at anything in your business really, and you shouldn't be, and that's why you outsource tasks. So whether it's the bookkeeping or even core business, like in my business, I absolutely can jump on and manage your social media, but I have a team that will do it far quicker than me.
Yeah.
So that's who I outsource it to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like when you've talked about, following on from that outsourcing. What do you mean by approach outsourcing with curiosity?
Yeah, so I think outsourcing can be it's a hard thing for people to do, especially for recovering control freaks like us. And something that I have found really helpful is to approach it with curiosity of, rather than thinking of all of the things that could possibly go wrong, it's more so, well, what if I actually find out that my team is way better at this than I? Or what if I find out a new process through my team that could be more efficient? Or rather than looking at what could go wrong, it's what could go right. Yeah, let's be positive.
What's that meme? It's like, what if I fail? Well, darling, what if you succeed?
What if you fly? Or like landing in the stars or something instead of the moon or something like that.
No, that's cool.
But yeah, I'm sure you'll be pleasantly surprised with your team. And I think as well, someone actually told me, one of my clients, is that if you don't trust your team, that's a reflection on you as a manager, but also who you chose to fill the position and who you chose to hire. Back yourself. You've hired these people. You chose to put them in the position. Give them the tasks that they're supposed to be doing.
And honestly, we recently, a couple of months ago, did a session with Shelley from Boldside, the This Is Work podcast host, and we did this thing. It's like our team has the right person in the job and they are better than me.
Yeah.
Like Rach and Jess, in terms of organising, they are better than I am.
Yeah.
I'll do it really good for a couple of days when I'm in the mood, but it's not sustainable because it's not a core underlying strength.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm organised, but I'm not. And I've even been challenged, without going into it, that, I had a rough trot last year and still kind of recovering. Do I need to get my big boy pants on and lean back in and get a salesperson in the business to go and get that revenue? I don't know. So I'm a bottleneck walking.
So what did your team say?
Well, do you want to finish your last point?
Yeah, so a couple of quick practical tips that you can do to stop being the bottleneck is reducing clutter in your business and your life. So something that I have done is create inbox rules. So say when a remittance comes through or an email that I don't have to look at, I have set inbox rules to automate all of those. So they're not in my inbox at all. I don't have to look at them. Unsubscribing from newsletters and junk that I don't need in my inbox, turning off your notifications or setting screen time, or just reduce clutter in your day-to-day so you are able to get on with the core business tasks and get on with what you're good at and stop being the bottleneck.
And this is actually such an amazing, profound thing that I'm about to say. I know everyone and you, Kayla, you just hang off every syllable that drips off my mouth.
I'm rolling my eyes if you're
if you're watching
listening
on YouTube. If you want to know something, you ask.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. We've broken the internet.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, am I a bottleneck? Ask your team. Now, I would hope I've got, and this is the dance for me, I hope I've got a good enough relationship with my team, because literally talk about me, how I run a business on this podcast, might talk about, I'm not interested in throwing staff under the bus, but for me, the staff hear this, so I have to be clear, anything I say on this microphone, I have to bloody be doing in real life. That's a real scary thing.
Yeah.
And ask your team. Now, it could be scary with what they say, but part of our core values is, speak your mind. It's not really a value, but we've got this care deeply and challenge directly.
Yeah.
So it's a vibe that I can say, Kayla, you're a bottleneck with this task.
Yeah.
Now, that's not me saying, Kayla, you're the biggest scumbag on the planet.
Yeah.
Why don't you go home
Yeah.
and take a bath with a toaster?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Is that allowed to be said? Don't know. I'm saying, Kayla, you're a bottleneck with this task.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't take things personally.
Yes.
Similar in my business, like we super open communication, leave your ego at the door. We're all on the same team. We're all trying to grow this business. So then you can grow your skill set, you can earn more money, we can earn more money. We're all on the same team.
Yep.
So if there's criticisms, it's constructive.
That's right. Okay, so I said, can anyone think, and this was in the open Slack channel, the pond. Mm-hmm. We call it the pond.
Okay.
Lol. Can anyone think off the top of their head, am I a bottleneck?
Just off the top of their head.
Am I a bottleneck in the business?
Mm-hmm.
If yes, what am I bottlenecking? One staff member. Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Glenn. No, not joking. One staff member said, I haven't experienced that. They've worked with me for over 4 years.
I was going to say, is that because they started yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Newest team member. One said, I haven't experienced that.
Okay.
Another team member, nothing comes to mind. I usually think if there's an issue, we address them in real time,
Love
generally
that.
speaking. And I'm like, cool. And the other one, I'm like, really? And then there was the follow-up. If there are issues, we know pretty quickly, being such a small team, and I'll be knocking down your door.
Yeah. I love
So there's
that.
this we don't have time to be getting held up by incompetence from me
Yeah.
or bottleneck stuff. So that's the challenge to business owners.
Yeah, ask your team.
Or ask your contractors. If you're paying contractors, if you're just started and you have far out, your business managing people's social media, you know the handful of clients that are bottlenecks from you getting your job done.
Yeah.
So I think there's truth in just asking in kindness. So, yeah, don't be afraid. Well, do you want to recap the kind of 3 things where you know you might be the bottleneck in your team? And as a bonus thing, we're just kind of trying to do things, Kayla, on the fly. Lay your stuff in your business, everyone. I want you to tell us as if we were going to clip this for a reel.
So if you tick one or two of these 3, you're the bottleneck of the business. Constantly getting follow-ups. If you're working all day but you're not actually achieving anything, or if you can't meet deadlines, or you just can't keep up with your work. If you tick one of those boxes, I'm sorry, you're the bottleneck in your business.
Ooh, snap. There you go. And do you want to give us a summary of how to stop being the bottleneck?
So a couple of tips on how to stop being the bottleneck in your business. Accept that you are not the best at your craft, nor should you be. Outsource low-hanging fruit first. So easy things like admin, bookkeeping, those are really quick and easy things you can outsource to make it simple and easy. Approach outsourcing with curiosity. So I bet you're going to be pleasantly surprised with how good your team can actually handle things. And reducing clutter. So set up those inbox rules, unsubscribe from newsletters that you don't read, turn off notifications, streamline your business life so you can stop being the bottleneck in your business.
Love it. Actually, just on the inbox rules, Lucy from my publisher, Wiley, she has got an inbox rule, which I don't mind.
Okay.
She's got a rule, any emails where she's CC'd on goes to a separate folder. Because they're more just as an FYI for her.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, she can just scroll through and keep an eye over things.
Yeah.
That's a cool rule.
Yeah. In my business, I get a lot of the your ad has been approved emails from Meta there are a lot of stuff that I can't turn off. So they're just automatically deleted. I have the only ones I get are your ad.
Why are they going to the Kayla inbox?
Well, because I'm part of their business manager.
Right. Okay.
Or a member on the ad account.
Yeah. Okay. That's annoying.
So I still get the ones if there's an issue with the ad or if it doesn't get approved for whatever reason.
At least you know. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably again a good example is get rid of the stuff that you don't need, but I need to be notified if something doesn't get approved. So that can still hit my inbox.
Straight up. Well, you can learn more about Kayla and her marketing wizardry. We'll put a link in the show notes to check out Kayla and get involved with what she's doing in her life and business. She's on Instagram. She's got a cool little landing page.
Yep, @by Kayla Malss is my Instagram.
Love it. KaylaMalss.
Yeah, got it.
Giddy up. My name's Glen James. That was Kayla, and this was Business. Bye.
Bye.
Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Simo Interactive Pty Ltd, the publisher of this podcast, and Glen James are authorised representatives of Money Sherpa Pty Ltd, which holds financial services license 451289. Opinions or comments from any guests on the podcast are theirs and not those of the host or the publisher or their respective license holders.